What's up, guys? We are back with another video today, and today we're going to be going over the timeline of the art that draws blood. I'm here with Ruben today.
What's good, everyone?
This is going to be very interesting since we don't have any of this scripted, but we do have a timeline of this whole entire process of how it started and where it ended. Yeah. Let's get into it.
All right, so first we're going to talk about the origins of how we created this film in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So it all started at a graduation party after high school. I mean, no shit. The graduation party took place at Landen's house, so we also met like some of his family. And during that time, his dad was talking to us, being like, "Hey, you guys should like really go on a camping trip or something." And we're just like, that sounds pretty fun.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah,
a group camping trip.
Yeah, like camping together. I would actually do that, whether it's just like for fun or for the channel.
Course.
I'd love to do that. When we're thinking about camping, we're also thinking about like making a horror film. Because,
Convenience.
Yeah.
We were in the process of making this idea during the time when I was in Italy. Because right after the graduation, I went to Italy. And then we were talking about it through Discord. We had one idea, which was some type of card situation where it determines your destiny. And that one got scrapped right away.
This was, for whatever reason, going to be an artifact in that movie. I don't know what role it would have played, but yeah. And that was at the time when Glen made an idea of the horror film. Now, I can actually bring up the script right now and talk about the horror film. I'm going to read this word for word, y'all, okay? Not script, just notes. The start of the film begins with Matteo coming back to the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
Possible outcome. Matteo suffers from slight paranoia due to his past. Killers are ghosts who haunt separate victims. The survivors are Ruben, who plays Robert, Matteo, who plays Mason, and Landen, who plays Lucas. The killers are Jordan, who plays the Brute, Montana, who plays the Psycho, and Glen, who plays the Butcher. Landen is the cause of it all. Possible outcome 2. Landen stumbles upon an ancient evil book and draws inside it. Possible outcome 3. Landen signs his friends up for something regrettable. Everyone handles their own costumes. There will be very little dialogue in this short film. That is it.
Now you guys can see why this film didn't really go anywhere. But there were multiple other factors that went into this, which are the deal breakers and the plot holes that came through Glen's idea. So keep in mind, guys, that we were at first really on board with Glen's idea because it sounded fun. But if we were to actually do Glen's idea, we would have had to have like a budget or something to actually make this work and actually have a good script and everything. Like actual good writing and stuff like that. And now here come the deal breakers.
Alright, so the first problem was, as I mentioned earlier, Landen stumbles upon an evil book, yada yada. But if Landen stumbles upon it, and there are killers after us, specifically after like one target, why are we involved?
Exactly.
Like all three of them should go after Landen since he's the one who stumbled upon the book.
Deal breaker number 2 was trying to find the backstories. And Jordan has specifically told me, because I've been in calls with him, like he was trying his damn hardest to figure out what to do with the backstories and stuff like that. But every time he would try to think about it, it would leave him with like a migraine or some shit. Like,
yeah.
It was so much thought into this because there were so many like problems that go from one backstory to another plot hole from another backstory of different ideas. It was just a train wreck of just nothing but just dead ends and plot holes just everywhere.
The third problem, one of the ideas of the film. Actually, no, this is the main like idea of the killers. So as I mentioned earlier, there's one killer for each survivor. Montana is after Matteo, Glen is after me, and Jordan is after Landen. One of their gimmicks was that one survivor sees one specific killer. So he can only see Montana, I can only see Glen, and Landen can only see Jordan. It sounded cool at first, but then there are multiple problems with that.
Exactly.
But the main one we stumble upon is, let's say Jordan is grabbing Landen by a chokehold. What would we see? Like, would we just see him floating, or like, and if we did, how are we gonna edit that?
It was at this point where we were starting to lose hope. And then comes Glen's birthday party, where it came the biggest deal breaker of it all. Glen was, at the time, also helping out with the costume pieces. The costume pieces were already, well, first off, let me just say, the costume pieces also went nowhere because we still had no idea what to do with them. But Glen had one costume piece for the Psycho, which was like a skeleton mask. So we go to Glen's birthday party. We're having a good time. We're just, having birthday party shenanigans. And then he then shows us the costume piece for Landen, which was the skeleton.
Montana.
For Montana, which was the skeleton mask. And then when Montana put it on, final nail in the coffin. That was the final deal breaker because it looked so ridiculous. It looked horrible. And then that was when I finally had the idea to say, hey, you know what? I have a great idea. Let's just stick with one killer. One of the things we forgot to mention in the video was why we even chose Jordan to be the killer in the first place. And the main reason for that is because Jordan's favorite horror character is Michael Myers, and he would love to dress up as him sometimes. And whenever he does get in that costume, he can be pretty darn intimidating. So it just made sense to pretty much make him the killer. I think almost everyone was pretty much on board with that.
Yeah, because that's much more simple to deal with than 3, let alone 3 killers coming after 3 survivors.
And I still kept the book idea, and I turned it into a whole simple... It's a pretty simple gimmick when you really think about it for the Art That Draws Blood. You draw something in a paper and it comes to life when you, like, do something or whatever. Fun fact, by the way, guys. Do you want to know where that skeleton mask ended up? On the guy's face right here. Another thing that we forgot to talk about, yes, we forgot a lot in this video, was talking about how we even came up with the title, The Art That Draws Blood. So basically it all started because the original title of the film was actually going to be called The Macabre, which is the name of the killer. And at first it sounded fine, but then over time it started to sound a little bit lame, and Ruben suggested that we should just change the name. And that's when I thought of the title, The Art That Draws Blood. And I think there was like another name too. I think it was like Dyed in Red Ink or something like that. But ultimately, we just chose The Art That Draws Blood because that was the title that just sounded the coolest to us. And now we're moving on to the filming process. So this was around the time we were trying to at least make a story for, you know, this whole concept. During this time, I thought of the idea for teasers. I came up with the idea of, oh, these guys were so traumatized by the events of what happened to them. How about we have recordings of their therapy sessions that they were in and make that the teasers?
Now, during the teasers, this was around the time when Tom was first filming with us.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it was mainly just voice acting for this part. This was around the time where Tom was eventually a member of the Diverse Society.
And if you guys want to also know, the timeline-wise goes, like, in terms of the films and other stuff that we recorded relating to The Art That Draws Blood, it goes the first film, the teasers, in the order that they are, and then the second part.
And now, funny thing about the teasers was that in each one, there would be some sort of background noise, and we would just ignore it. Like, I don't remember who's for who, but one of them, there was just crows in the background. One, there was just a plane in the background. One, there was just wind chimes. But, you know, we just left it in there.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. We weren't really going to make it a 2-part thing. It was really going to be one film. Yeah. But then, because the ending of the second part was supposed to be the ending of the first part, but I was a little worried that we weren't going to be able to really film something like that where it involved a lot of movement. We basically didn't think we were ready yet.
So, one of the major reasons why we had to split into 2 was because while we were filming it, we didn't know how much time we would take.
Mm-hmm.
So we all thought it was going to be like maybe like less than 20 minutes or something like that. But it was getting bigger, so we were just like, okay, let's split into 2 films.
And that's pretty much the reason why we called it The Art That Draws Blood Part 2 instead of just The Art That Draws Blood 2, because it was one film developed into 2 parts rather than a sequel that is just 2 different stories.
I believe we made the teasers first.
Yes.
And then we made the actual filming after that. And one of the reasons why this one was a major improvement compared to our first film was that we wrote a script. I made an entire storyboard with this one, so that way we can go piece by piece and just have the right shots. It felt a lot more coordinated too, which helped it so much. I think for The Art That Draws Blood, the first part, when did we start actually filming? I think it was like somewhere in...
I'd say like maybe like February or March was when we
somewhere around there, yeah. That's when we first started filming. And then it wasn't until July. When we stopped, where we finished everything by that point.
Now, in the video, we barely really touched on the actual process of making the film, so I'll throw in a couple more details that were never really explained, and also just a little bit of things I just wanted to add. Firstly, I just wanted to add that with every film that we make, we always try to like improve off of the last one, and whether that be an editing trick or something involving production, we always try to make sure that we do something better, and we always try to make our films look more professional. And during part 1, and like we said in the video, while we did add scripts and storyboards and all that stuff to make the film run a lot more smoothly, if the bloopers weren't obvious enough, the film was a lot of fun to make. It was a ton of fun to make because there was a whole bunch of just funny gags that happened, and Jordan being Jordan, and we not only had a lot of fun doing it, we were excited to actually film part 2 because of it, And even though part 2 didn't necessarily have that many funny moments compared to part 1, it ran a lot more smoothly because we're starting to do a little bit better in terms of getting used to the whole setup of how we make our films.
Okay, no, around January of this year, that's when we were talking about the story of making Art That Draws Blood 2.
We also took a bit of a hiatus with the idea of it because we didn't want to just start immediately thinking of the part 2, so we took like a couple of months off, and then like Ruben said, on January, that's when we started to rethink the idea and then also think of a script. And we finalized the script around March, and then we started filming on April. That's when we first started everything.
Yeah.
And it's also kind of ironic how we took less time to film for this part. Yeah, it's a lot longer than the first part.
Yeah. It's pretty funny, honestly.
Which, fun fact, by the way, part 2 didn't really have that much of a storyboard, because the majority of it was just stuff that I had in my head, and the only 2 scenes that really had a storyboard was the chase scene and the ending scene. So, because I was a little afraid that everyone was going to be too confused on how that's going to turn out, so I just wrote it so that way everyone could be on the same page. We were going to have it be like, oh, if you guys want to see a part 2, leave a like. We still did it anyway. And we started the filming of the second part. That one, I think, went a lot more smoothly overall than the first part. Part 2, I mean.
I'd say one of the reasons why this one was a lot faster was that the people we knew, mainly like Landen and Montana, and maybe Tom as well, we sort of cut them out a little bit since like their schedules are like more busy than ours. Like you, me, and like Jordan, we have like all the time in the world.
Yeah.
So with us 3 mainly in it, it was pretty easy from there.
Most of us have jobs and school that we have to work with, so the reason why a lot of these have such long gaps to make and why it take an entire year to do so is the fact that we're always so busy all the time, and we only take like, realistically, summer's like the one time where we're able to just get everything done as much as possible. Because realistically, if we were to film everything in the summer and we had all the time in the world, we didn't have anything, if we were to combine every single like day that we filmed together, it would probably be like equivalent to like 9 days or something.
Yeah, like 2 weeks at most.
2 weeks at most, yeah. So there you go, guys. That's pretty much like the entire storyline and timeline of the Art That Draws Blood saga. And now, we would like to now talk about how this film compares to our very, very first film. That is Coronapocalypse. Now, here's the thing. Do I think Coronapocalypse was a bad film if I were someone that did not know the background behind it? Not really. No. Again, it has its flaws, but again, it's a first film.
And also, this was around the time like when we were all still in high school, so we didn't have that much free time back then. And this was also around the time when we like first started filming, so we didn't have like a script, we didn't have a storyboard, so a majority of Coronapocalypse was improvised. So if you like watch the movie, why some scenes don't make sense with this scene, you kind of know why. This is our first film.
Fucking part I wanted was in a scrapyard. Pretty much the whole premise of Coronapocalypse was that, hey, how about we make a film? Okay, what do we do? A post-apocalyptic film. Let's do it. That was literally it.
That's pretty much it. And like, what's it? This was around. Okay, this was like the winter time, so it was like really cloudy out there. So like, that's kind of how we came up with the idea.
Yeah.
We didn't know how long it would take though. It started in like December, and we ended it in like the summer. You know, because of how much time we took on it, that's kind of the reason why the ending was so rushed. Because we were all just like, this film is taking way too long. Let's just finish this film.
7-month process, by the way.
Yep.
For a film that could have been done in like, I feel like that was the one where we said that it would have taken 9 days if we were to do it day by day.
Yeah.
Like back to back.
Yeah, I would go back to like watch it. Okay, first I don't want to watch it. Second, I can't remember like, you know, was this scene filmed in like one day or was this shot filmed in one day? I don't remember, obviously.
And as we said about The Art That Draws Blood, compared to Coronapocalypse, we wrote a script, we wrote a storyboard, and Coronapocalypse, we did none of that. Absolutely none of that. Like we said before, it was improvised to all hell.
Look here, dude. Just because I'm working on these fucking weapons doesn't mean I have to listen to the damn chief. He gave me this thing, and my fucking fingers don't even fucking fit in this damn thing.
Well, I can't help you with that. I'm trying my hardest to find whatever I can find, and I still don't get appreciation around this goddamn place.
Since you and me are always in here, we always talk to each other. I give you appreciation. I give you the weapons to go out there to survive. You come back here and give me the parts to make them. You and me, we're good friends. If the chief fucks up, You take over.
Two things about Coronapocalypse. One, to add on with us dealing with high school and all that, we didn't buy Filmora at the time, or he didn't buy Filmora at the time. So the quality was like kind of bad back then. And another thing was that there are so much scrapped ideas with Coronapocalypse. One of them being like a new scene on the TV, but we didn't have green screen at the time, so we just made like a radio scene.
Mm-hmm.
And what else? There's a glass beaker as well that was supposed to be in like the Cure scene or whatever, but for whatever reason we just could not find it.
There was a vital scene that never came up into existence. But actually, you know what? How about we reenact it how it pretty much went? Just...
Okay.
Dude.
What?
I'm checking my vitals. Everything's going smoothly. But something is wrong.
What's wrong?
My vitals are perfectly fine.
Yeah, and that's essentially how it went.
And if you thought that reenactment was cringy, take a look at what I ended up finding after going through a couple of our past videos.
Hey, dude. Dude,
What's up?
I've been checking my vitals. Everything's going smoothly,
Alright.
but something's off.
What's up?
I'm perfectly fine ever since our last time we got out of here.
Yeah?
I just don't know why the chief is letting us stay in here if everyone's perfectly fine.
Well, better to risk nothing than to risk everything, really.
And also, I've been thinking of something. I've always been wondering why he gave me this thing.
I have no idea.
I don't really use it much, and also, too, it hurts.
But with all that said, once again, this was our first film, and we were in high school. We didn't know anything about filming, how to create a story, all that.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe, just maybe, we'll remake it.
There's a lot that needs to be done for a freaking apocalyptic film, guys. So if you guys really want to see a remake of Coronapocalypse, where we then also thought of a sequel for it, again, maybe, we don't know. Leave a like down below and comment down below if you guys really want to see a remake and then a second part of Coronapocalypse. So now that brings us to the film club. Now you might be wondering, what the heck does that have any significance to it? So during the time when we were in college, we were in a club. In that club, every year they have like a film festival where they show off people's films created by the people in the film degrees industry. When we found out that we could put our film into the film club, and then I ended up putting Coronapocalypse into the film club, and unfortunately I was supposed to go, but then I had work out that day, so I couldn't go, so I substituted Montana with him as well. So both of them went to go see it, and yeah, tell your experience.
Okay, so first of all, we couldn't be nominated for anything because we passed the time limit. The time limit was like around 15 minutes. So right off the bat, realistically, there was no point of going. But he already submitted the film, so we pretty much have to go. Even though like we weren't nominated and like we couldn't qualify, they still played our movie anyways. Now there were like some scenes that I cringed at, either if it was just acting or the biggest one I cringed at was, you can go back to the movie if you want. There's this 3-minute scene where it's just pure silence while his character is just checking a photo or whatever. In the original one, there was like some sad music playing in the background, which,
But it got copyrighted.
yeah, it got copyrighted, so he had to mute it. So for 3 minutes, I know sometimes I say like the silence is too loud. No, in that scenario, when I was in that room, the silence was deafening. I could hear my ears ringing throughout that time. That sort of got me a little mad because, like, let's admit, in the original one, at the end scene, there was some Metallica music playing. Obviously, that was copyrighted because it's Metallica.
Well, actually, no, it wasn't at first, because I did like change it to where like it was, for all the music nerds out there, it was a semitone higher than what the original song was. And I also like made it like kind of slower to make it like try to work around it. But after like maybe like a month or so, maybe like a month or two of it being not copyrighted, it then got copyrighted.
Yeah. So he had to change the music. So I was expecting he would do that for this depressing scene as well, but no, it's just pure silence. Aside from that, though, the other students, they were laughing at some couple scenes, like Montana's like bitchy face or whatever when he had to leave, as well as the USB line, if y'all remember that. Just put in the goddamn USB. But overall, it was pretty fun. Now, earlier this year, we attended the film fest,
I was present this time, and I submitted the Art That Draws Blood. And when I did submit it, I was like, crap, we're like a minute or so over the limit, so I don't think we're going to be able to make it. Not only did they show the film in the film club, it also got nominated for Best Visual Effects.
Yep.
And to us, that was like oh shit, okay, that was awesome.
I had two reactions to that. First was, oh my god, we actually got nominated for something? And the second one was, why visual effects?
And keep in mind also, it actually like said on the Google form, like, hey, which category do you want to put your film in for best whatever? And I was gonna put it for like cinematography or something,
yeah.
but then I saw, oh, you can just leave it blank. Okay, I'll just leave it blank and just see where it goes. And then we were competing against one other film called, oh crap, what was it called?
Isolation?
Isolation, that was the name. And we're like, okay, so we got some competition here. And once again, guys, almost every single one of the films was like less than like 7 minutes. Almost every single one, 7 minutes. Almost every single one of them. When we were going up against Isolation, they showed our film first, and then we did cringe at like a couple of the parts, but it wasn't as bad as the Coronapocalypse. There were a lot of moments where people were laughing at parts that shouldn't really be laughed at. Like the part where it was like, they killed my brother!
Holy crap. I can't believe that just happened.
The entire room was laughing, and we're like, huh? But we did get a lot of compliments from, I think, for both films, we did get a lot of compliments. I think there was like this one girl that went, like, when it said the to be continued part, there was like one girl in the back that was like, yes!
Yeah.
Then we saw Isolation. And we saw that it was like, what, like a minute or something?
Like 2 minutes.
Like 2 minutes. It had one visual effect. It was still shot well, but it only had one visual effect, and it won compared to our film. And you might be wondering, how in the fuck is that possible? We were people that never attended any of the club's meetings or stuff like that, so we were just people that just randomly posted a film. The voting really came from a lot of favoritism, so I don't know what would the actual, like how far of a difference the score was. It was like 5 points compared to like 15 or something.
Yeah, we'll pretty much never know.
But again, what matters is that people gave us compliments and they were like, great job, guys. And then that was the time where we realized that, you know what? How about we should start thinking about making films that are also less than 5 minutes, which then brings us to the fact that we made a film called Sinistrophobia, which you guys can go ahead and check out for yourself. It's a 1 minute and 45-second film where we made in less than 20 minutes. So there you go, guys. That is the timeline of the Art That Draws Blood. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope you guys enjoyed the 2 short films and the teasers that we released on the channel. You guys can go check that out. I made a whole playlist for it.
If you guys have any ideas of like maybe films or gaming content, I think y'all would be interested, please let us know in the comments down below. If you have any feedback of our films, please let us know in the comments, whether it's just, oh, I really enjoyed this film, or if it's just genuine criticism of like what we need to improve on. Because we're still, in the end of the day, like we're still intermediate when it comes to this type of stuff. Yeah.
So
like, even though we pretty much do this for fun, we're not like the best at it, obviously.
We're really excited to see what the community will turn into for the Diverse Society, because even though it's not just us, this whole entire channel is the Diverse Society. You guys are the Diverse Society. We're just the showman here. So
yeah, pretty much.
Make sure you guys subscribe and also hit the notification bell so you guys can be notified with every film that we make. And we'll see you guys in the next video. See ya.